So I immigrated to this country. I was born in the Soviet Union in Russia, and
Which one?
which one?
Yes, it's an important question. You
Which?
were born in the Soviet Union, right?
Yes, I was born in the
Yes.
Soviet Union. The rest is details, but I grew up in Moscow, Russia.
Yeah.
But I came to this country, and this country even back there, but it's always symbolized to me a place of opportunity where everybody could build the most incredible things, especially in the engineering side of things. Just invent and build and scale and have a huge impact on the world. And that's been to me that's my version of the American ideal, the American dream. Do you think the American dream is still there? Uh, what do you think of that notion in itself? Like from an economics perspective, from a human perspective, is it still alive? And how do you think about it? The American dream.
The American dream is mostly still there. If you look at which groups are the highest earners, it is individuals from India and individuals from Iran, which is a fairly new development. Great for them, not necessarily easy. Both you could call persons of color, may have faced discrimination, also on the grounds of religion. Yet they've done it. That's amazing. It says great things about America. Now, if you look at native-born Americans, the story's trickier. People think intergenerational mobility has declined a lot recently, but it has not for native-born Americans. For about, I think, 40 years, it's been fairly constant, which is sort of good. But compared to much earlier times, it was much higher in the past. I'm not sure we can replicate that because, look, go to the beginning of the 20th century. Very few Americans finish high school or even have much wealth. There's not much credentialism. There aren't that many credentials. So there's more upward mobility across the generations than today. And it's a good thing that we had it. I'm not sure we should blame the modern world for not being able to reproduce that. But look, the general issue of who gets into Harvard or Cornell, is there an injustice? Should we fix that? Is there too little opportunity for the bottom, say half of Americans? Absolutely. It's a disgrace how this country has evolved in that way. And in that sense, the American dream is clearly ailing. But it has had problems from the beginning for blacks, for women, for many other groups.
I mean, isn't that the whole challenge of opportunity and freedom is that it's hard, and the difficulty of how hard it is to move up in society is unequal often, and that's the injustice of society. But the whole point of that freedom is that over time it becomes better and better. You start to fix the leaks, the issues, and it keeps progressing in that kind of way. But ultimately, there's always the opportunity, even if it's harder. There's the opportunity to create something truly special, to move up, to be president, to be a leader in whatever the industry that you're passionate about.
To have it, we each have podcasts, right? In English. The value of joining that American English language network is much higher today than it was 30 years ago, mostly because of the internet. So that makes immigration returns themselves skewed. So going to the US, Canada, or the UK, I think has become much more valuable in relative terms than, say, going to France, which is still a pretty well-off, very nice country. If you had gone to France, your chance of having a globally known podcast would be much smaller.
Yeah, this is the interesting thing about how much intellectual influence the United States has. I don't know if it's connected to what we're discussing here, the freedom and the opportunity of the American dream, or like, does it make any sense to you that we have so much impact on the rest of the world in terms of ideas? You know, is it just simply because the English is the primary language of the world, or is there something fundamental to the United States that drives the development of ideas? It's almost like what's cool, what's entertaining, what's like meme culture, the internet culture, the philosophers, the intellectuals, the podcasts, the movies, music, all that stuff, driving culture.
There's something above and beyond language in the United States. It's a sense of entertainment really mattering, how to connect with your audience, being direct and getting to the point, how humor is integrated even with science.
Yeah.
That is pretty strongly represented here, much more, say, than on the European continent.
Mm.
Britain has its own version of this, which it does very well. And not surprisingly, they're hugely influential in music, comedy, most of the other areas you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, yes, but their best talent tends to come here. But you could say it's like a broader North American thing and give them their fair share of credit.
What about science? There's a sense higher education is really strong, research is really strong in the United States, but it just feels like, culturally speaking, when we zoom out, scientists aren't very cool here. Like most people wouldn't be able to name basically a single scientist. Maybe they would say what, like Einstein and Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe. And Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't exactly a scientist; he's a science communicator. So like, there's not the same kind of admiration of science and innovators as there is of like athletes or actors, actresses, musicians.
Well, you can become a celebrity scientist if you want to. It may or may not be best for science. And we have Spock from Star Trek, who is still a big deal. But look at it this way. Which country is most comfortable with inegalitarian rewards for scientists, whether it's fame or money? And I still think it's here. Some of that's just the tax rate. Some of it is a lot of America is set up for rich people to live really well. And again, that's going to attract a lot of top talent.
Yeah.
And you ask, like, the two best vaccines. I know the Pfizer vaccine is sort of from Germany, sort of from Turkey, but it's nonetheless being distributed through the United States. Moderna, an ethnic Armenian immigrant through Lebanon, first to Canada, then down here to Boston, Cambridge area. Those are incredible vaccines, and U.S. nailed it.
Yeah, well, that's more almost like I don't know what you would call it, engineering, the sort of scaling. That's what U.S. is really good at, is not just inventing of ideas, but taking an idea and actually building the thing and scaling it and being able to distribute it at scale.